Hello, I'm teacher Karina, and I'm here to share some information with you about William Burroughs. William S. Burroughs was a beat-generation writer known for his startling, non-traditional accounts of drug culture, most famously in the book Naked Lunch.
William Burroughs was a literary celebrity who became notorious for his drug-fueled life.
He was able to persevere as a writer over time, despite going through addictions to practically every drug you could name. He was a walking pharmacopoeia.
William Seward Burroughs II was born on February 5, 1914, in St. Louis, Missouri.
His grandfather invented the Burroughs adding machine, so there was some family money, and he did have a monthly stipend of $200 that he got from his parents, so he didn't need to work, and so he could explore a variety of things, whether it be criminal behavior and drug abuse, or his intellectual pursuits and other sorts of things he could study.
After studying English at Harvard, Burroughs moved to New York City and launched the Beat Generation with Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg.
Burroughs was viewed by his fellow Beats as a kind of older, wiser mentor figure. He connected them to both the underground world of New York City street and drug culture and to the literary avant-garde. Burroughs was somebody who was plainly willing to experiment radically with language, and I think that was inspiring and influential.
Although Burroughs was an open homosexual, he traveled with his common-law wife, Joan Vollmer, until their relationship tragically ended in 1951.
Joan Vollmer died in 1951 in Mexico City. The story goes, Joan put a cocktail glass on her head and said, "Okay, Bill, let's do our William Tell act." Burroughs was a gun fanatic. He always had a gun. And so he pulled out the gun and shot, and he missed the glass, and he hit her between the eyes, and she died on the spot.
Vollmer's death motivated Burroughs to write, and in 1953, he published the autobiographical novel Junkie under the pen name William Lee.
Junkie is a straightforward novel about Burroughs's experiences as a drug addict, and it was first published as a paperback original at the time when paperback originals were considered cheap and disposable, and it is still a pretty harrowing book.
Over the next 4 years, Burroughs wrote under the influence of narcotics and produced the manuscript that would later become 4 novels, including the controversial Naked Lunch.
Naked Lunch was filled with horrific images of sexual sadism, images of pedophilia, horrific and hallucinatory images of violence, strange creatures, this odd world he created that he called Interzone.
Naked Lunch was most famous, I think, less for its literary value than for the fact that it became very famous as one of the last test cases of obscenity laws and of the freedom to write. It was a book that sold much better than it probably would had it not been on trial for obscenity in Boston. And I think through that trial and through the publicity around it, a number of other writers became aware of Burroughs, people like Norman Mailer and Mary McCarthy, and they championed his writing.
Through the years, Burroughs grew from underground writer to cultural icon.
In the 80s, he did commercials for Nike, he read on Saturday Night Live, he performed with rock bands, he made records of his own reading backed up by musicians. He's considered one of the godfathers of the punk movement. He infiltrated a number of different bohemian or countercultural generations.
Burroughs continued to write until he died of a heart attack on August 2nd, 1997.